challenges that we face as working mothers. I'd say this from my experience. Um, going back to work after 3 months is not an easy thing. Today being the beginning of the World Breastfeeding Week and the emphasis on breastfeeding for the first 6 months, you can imagine going back to work after 3 months. So what happens the next 3 months? It means that you have to express milk while you're at work. Some of the workstations don't have breastfeeding rooms. That's number one. Number two, even like support. Probably you even want to find there's a breastfeeding room, but you're not given time to go and express the milk. There's also that. Like you have to work throughout. And I think that's those are some of the challenges that a lot of mothers face. Personally, my employer has been very supportive, I'd say so. Like I've been able to express milk. I was able to express milk and feed my child at the time when I needed to. However, I'd also talk about the gadgets that we use. We now have like electric pumps, we have the manual pumps, and every mother will actually agree with me that using the manual pumps is a lot of work. Breastfeeding is very tiring, but it's worth every effort, I'd say. And exclusively breastfeeding for 6 months alongside work can be quite a lot. And that's why these women need to be supported fully. So if it means leaving work earlier than usual, not really clocking in the 8 hours, probably they do like 5 to 6 hours or 4 hours of the day, and then they are left to go and breastfeed their children, then that would be very good support. And then the breastfeeding pumps, rather the pumps, the expressing pumps, could that be checked? Because that has become a huge business right now. The electric pumps go up to around 12,000, 20,000. How many working mothers can afford that? So it's important that we get very affordable pumps that we can express milk. Can workplaces have refrigerators that these women can store their milk before they go home in the evening? So it's actually just cutting the cost around supporting the working mother. We know we need the breastfeeding rooms, but beyond that, can we now get the breastfeeding rooms? Can we have refrigerators? And also now the country to support, the government to support, probably even reduce the taxes on these breastfeeding pumps, so that these women are able to go and express milk and still be able to store it for their children and to be able to exclusively give their children breast milk for 6 months. Yes, so can the workspaces be supportive? Yeah, that would help us a lot.
Kwa wanaume tunaonaga kuna shida kidogo, sababu mtoto akizaliwa wanajifanya kazi yao imeishia hapo, wanaume. Na kazi ya mwanaume inahitaji sana wakati wa kulea mtoto. Kitu ya kwanza, kusaidia mama wakati mama ananyonyesha mtoto. Sababu mama mtoto anakuwa na kazi nyingi ya kulea huyu mtoto, kumwangalia na kumnyonyesha vile ameambiwa na daktari. Sababu mtoto lazima anyonyeshwe miezi 6 bila kula, kunyonya tu peke yake. Sababu wakati ananyonya, hiyo maziwa ya mama inakuwa na kila kitu ndani yake. Kwa hivyo miezi 6 inakuwa sawa na mtoto akinyonya. Kitu ya pili, wakati mama ananyonyesha mtoto, kuna kazi nyingine anatakiwa asaidiwe na bwana yake. Kitu ya kwanza, kuna kazi za jikoni. Bwana, sio makosa kusaidia mama jikoni, sio makosa hata. Bwana anatakiwa ajue mtoto walipata wakiwa wawili, na kulea mtoto anatakiwa alewe na hawa wawili. Kwa hivyo kile kitu ningesema na kile kitu ningetaka kuuliza wanaume ni wasikae bali wakati mtoto analewa, sababu hiyo ni kazi yao na wanatakiwa wasaidiane na mama. Sababu mtoto wakati ile kazi mama anafanya, pengine kuna kazi nyingine inatakiwa kufanywa hapo nyumbani, na bwana anatakiwa aendelee na kazi. Hakuna kazi ambayo inatakiwa iwe imesimama sababu mama alipata mtoto. Lazima kazi yote iendelee, na ikiendelea lazima wasaidiane wakiwa wawili, sababu mtoto alipatikana kwa hao wawili.
Mnapoingia mashinani,
tukiingia mashinani, kitu ya kwanza ni kuwasomesha vile mtoto anataka kuelewa. Kitu ya kwanza mtoto alewe na njia ile inafaa, ile mtoto apate afya na apate njia zozote zile magonjwa yanaweza zuiwa. Na ndio tunaambia mama wakati wowote, wakati tunaingia kwa mashinani, mtoto anyonyeshwe miezi 6 ili apate nguvu na awe na afya njema. Kitu ya pili,
wakati mwingine ukiongea na wamama ukiwauliza kwa nini uliacha kunyonyesha mtoto, watakwambia nilirudi kazini. We ask government to help us support particularly partners in the private sector to help women with sufficient maternity leave as indicated in the Breastfeeding Act so that they can be able to breastfeed their babies. And particularly in the private sector, we also know that there are a lot of hospitals that are still contravening the code. Wanawake wengi siku hizi hawataki kuzaa naturally. Wanachukua elective cesarean, wakati mama bado amelala, unapata mtoto ameshapewa maziwa mengine. Si ndio? We need to fight these things and we need to protect our babies so that they can be able to breastfeed properly. The other thing I wanted to mention is that one of the main things that will help us guests, I want to reaffirm Nutrition International's commitment to support, promote, protect, engage and galvanize support for breastfeeding, not just today, but as a day-to-day activity and not just during the World Breastfeeding Week. Let us remember to carry this message forward in our everyday life, even when we meet breastfeeding and pregnant women everywhere we go.
This year's theme, breastfeeding for a sustainable start in life, strengthen what works, reminds us that our task is not to reinvent solutions, but to scale up interventions that have already been proven to save lives. Breastfeeding remains one of the most effective investments in child survival, health, and development. Breastfeeding is a public health intervention, a nutrition intervention, a human rights imperative, and an investment in Kenya's human capital. It provides optimal nutrition, protects infants from disease, supports brain development, and improves maternal health. Supporting breastfeeding, therefore, is a shared responsibility of the national and county governments, employers, health professionals, media, families, communities, and development partners. Kenya continues to make encouraging progress. According to 2022 Kenya Demographic and Health Survey, 60% of infants under 6 months are exclusively breastfed, surpassing the World Health Assembly target of 50%. However, while 89% of births are attended by skilled health personnel, only 60% of newborns are breastfed within the first hour of birth. This 29 percentage point gap reminds us that improving skill delivery must go hand in hand with improving the quality of newborn care. Our investment in over 107,000 CHPs continues to strengthen breastfeeding support for mothers and families across the country. Murang'a County exemplifies this theme. Through strong county leadership and sustained investment in breastfeeding initiatives, the county continues to outperform national averages on key maternal and child health indicators. I congratulate His Excellency the Governor and the county government for this remarkable achievement. Despite these achievements, important challenges remain. Exclusive breastfeeding rates have stagnated, bottle feeding continues to increase, and too many children do not receive diverse and nutritious complementary foods. These gaps undermine children's growth, learning, and future productivity. Child undernutrition is estimated to cost Kenya more than 373 billion annually, Yet nutrition remains one of the smartest investments a nation can make.
Yet Kenya currently has only one operational human milk bank. And I think as we look to the future, expanding access to safe donor milk must also be part of our efforts to reduce preventable newborn deaths and give every child the healthiest possible start in life. This year's theme calls on us to strengthen what works, protect breastfeeding through effective implementation of the Breast Milk Substitutes Act, expanding baby-friendly health facilities and communities, supporting breastfeeding-friendly workplaces, using data for accountability, and scaling up proven interventions. Above all, it means ensuring that every county prioritizes newborn nutrition and invests in giving every child the best possible start in life. So let me leave you now with one question. What kind of nation are we if our smallest citizens cannot access the best possible start in life? So today, UNICEF and WHO call on governments, health professionals, academia, the private sector, civil society, employers and families to strengthen the warm chain of support around every mother and newborn. Let us protect breastfeeding, invest in quality newborn care, expand access to donor human milk, and ensure no child is left behind because they were born too soon, too small, or into difficult circumstances. Let this be the moment Kenya reaffirms that every born matters, the moment we strengthen what works, accelerate action where gaps remain, and make breastfeeding a national commitment for every child. Because every newborn deserves more than a birth. Every newborn deserves a chance to thrive and reach their full potential.